Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, I was just setting up some new equipment and you could say some new streaming capacities. And I figured, hey, why not go ahead and do a little test run while talking about an important topic? So, this topic has been something that's been on my mind a little bit lately. And it often is on a lot of people's minds because a lot of people have had interactions with these people. And that's the nature of public school teachers. And as someone who has actually done that kind of work in the past. I've done substitute teaching. I've been a public school teacher, high school, middle school. I've done all kinds of tutoring, owned a tutoring company, and I've been a juvenile defense attorney as well. Yeah, as you can see, quite a bit of different things. And my dad, on top of that, was a 30-year inner city school teacher. So I've had quite a bit of experience, so you could say, with schooling and the nature of the school system. So with all that in mind, I am very critical of public school teachers, and mostly because what they're doing is fundamentally child abuse. And I know for a lot of people that's hard to hear because they may have some good experiences with teachers. They may have a friend or a parent or something like that, someone who likes teachers and has a special place in their heart for them. But for me, I just look at the nature of their actions, and especially so because teachers are not there by force. Like nobody's, having a gun point to their head saying you have to teach or else. It's not like North Korea here or something. When you're a teacher, you're choosing that role. You're taking a job, and if you're in a public school, especially a compulsory public school, you're getting paid by the government, who takes money at the threat of force from other people using taxes, right? So this is not something to say that, oh, like there's some victim or they're just a part of the system. And no, it's an obfuscation of both reality and of personal responsibility. Children, they're sent to schools most often by the parents. They don't choose it. They're threatened in some fashion, whatever it is, whether it's parents threatening them with punishment or the direct threat, fundamentally of the state that if you do not go to public school at a bare minimum, by as a legal default, you'll get in legal trouble because there's compulsory attendance laws, and you can end up in juvenile detention hall, aka juvenile jail, for not going. So unlike children who are forced to be there, teachers are there because they choose the role. And in that vein, if teachers are not reflecting on the nature of what they're doing, they can get very comfortable with the positions and justify their actions and say, well, without me, these kids would be nothing, right? Oh, without me, these kids would be stupid. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, they couldn't do math. And it's an unfortunate erosion of critical thinking skills and creativity that takes place because of this. And what teachers really do, and even the best intentioned teachers really do, is they end up destroying children's autonomy and self-direction and internal drive. And this happens because in the school system, by the nature of the teacher's role, their role is to threaten children. Fundamentally, it's threats, right? If you don't obey, you get in trouble. You can get an escalation of different types of trouble where it's like name on the board, written up, detention slip, suspension, possibly even arrested, if you go all the way up. But they have a system of escalation by which they threaten children. And on top of that, they use shaming tactics. And it can be backhanded things like them saying, oh, well, you'll be stupid, or you work at McDonald's or something like that. Or it could be just the grades, right? Giving a child a shaming label, an F mark, for not following their orders. And in the process of this, with a young child, they're usually more interested in school. Like you're more likely to find young kids who might be engaged, at least at first, in the sense that everything's new in life and they're excited. It's like, oh, this is cool, it's crazy. But very quickly, I'd say for most children, this is from personal experience, having worked with literally thousands of kids. They're going to start to come down from that high of the excitement and newness of like, ooh, other kids in school, and oh, it's fun stuff like kindergarten, first grade. They immediately start to get a sense of their own autonomy, their own interests, and very quickly that's where it brushes up against what the teachers want to enforce them. And that is where you start to see the shaming tactics and the control tactics come in, because by the nature of the role, teachers are trying to get kids to perform and to follow their instructions hour by hour, typically to the tune of a bell, 45-minute blocks, 50-minute blocks. Some schools have, double period blocks, whatever. It's the same thing basically everywhere you go. You have increments of subjects, you have some type of signaling to get a child from one class to the next, and the teachers are going to use whatever tactics are needed to keep control of the classroom, And they use all different types of manners, from specifically seating certain kids certain places, putting certain objects in the classroom to kind of focus attention, how they walk around. Some training manuals call it with itness, ways to kind of keep everyone on task for what the teacher wants. And again, at first, many people will say, oh, this is just benign. The kids need to learn something. Then this is how you do it, right? But in reality, that's not the only way to learn. And I think most people already get that concept once they leave school. Just because you left the school building didn't mean that suddenly you stopped learning, right? Oh, I'm not in school anymore. I'm not, in high school. I can't learn, right? It's silly. You keep learning throughout the rest of your life. And it's just based on what you're interested in and your own goals at that point. Once you get past, high school and college, you start to choose a bit more what you want and so on and so forth. But then after that, if you're not in an official training class, you're learning based on your interests. But the thing is this could go all the way down, and it doesn't, because teachers are there as a part of the schooling a state apparatus that is the psychological profile of a bunch of human beings trying to get a bunch of young human beings to follow what it is they want, to prepare them to basically be subservient to them, is what it boils down to. But they're a part of this system enforcing the state mandated curriculum, and they are essentially taking children's personal interests, their passions, and so forth, and making them subservient or subsumed by whatever it is they dictate. And in the process, of course, they're shaming, labeling, stigmatizing, segregating, of course, when you have kids separated by age and by ability, when you have honors classes or non-honors classes and things like that. They're stratifying the kids over time. That if you don't meet based on your 1 year window, if you don't meet whatever it is they demand, you're behind, you're dysfunctional, you're incompetent, you need remediation, and so forth, right? Even though in reality, there's major biological differences among every person. And how fast someone develops can come in spurts and be in different, intervals of time. But of course, one size fits all Prussian model schooling does not accommodate for that. So that's why I'm usually pretty vehemently angry at teachers, because they are the front lines of the harm. And you really don't have anybody else to blame when it comes to the ground action, except the people doing the physical harm, right? At the end of the day, a bunch of idea people coming up with ways to control kids or politicians, stuff like that, they can say that all day, but without people who are willing to follow orders for a paycheck. And with school, as much as teachers complain about, oh, we don't get paid enough. I mean, very few jobs do you have off summers, the 11 federal holidays, are just the beginning. You have all these other, school holidays and trips and other stuff like that. Very rarely in any of the jobs do you technically get off more time. And even for all the complaints that teachers have, like, well, I got to do planning. I have to write lessons, for the next year. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. Except you're home. You can do that on your own, kind of thing. And that's a bit different from most of the people that have to work for, most of the months of the year. So, they complain a lot, but a lot of them stay because work-life balance is a little bit better. And you have, health benefits typically if you're in a public school and stuff like that. So, I just say, like, you shouldn't be feeling bad for these people. They are there willingly because they get access to kids. They get a position of power, right? They get to be the center of attention. A lot of teachers who go into the role, I'm not saying it's every single one, but a lot of them do, because they enjoy the power, control, and attention that you get to be able to dictate what happens. And if they like the subject material, of course, it's like, oh, I get to force a bunch of people to engage with whatever I like, read the books that I really enjoy. If you're an English lit professor, or if you're a math teacher, right? Do math topics that you actually like if you just happen to like it. And again, there's nothing wrong with those things. They're all benign in and of themselves. But when it's forced and kids are told, oh, if you don't read this, Scarlet Letter book, you're stupid and you're going to be behind. Well, it's just ridiculous, right? Reading is not limited to 17th or 18th century literature. You could become very fluent reading Harry Potter or even reading comic books, reading things you enjoy. And if the goal is supposed to be having a child be literate and want to read, it makes you really question, okay, then why are they telling kids to stop reading to focus on whatever it is they want to teach, right? Because it's about control. It's not really about the manifestation of arithmetic skills, numeracy, and the like, and reading, writing skills. It's about getting kids to follow along the curriculum so that they pass a certain classes, so that they get, the certain test scores they need to get the extra funding from the district. The whole thing is rigged and geared toward that, toward the signaling aspect, not the actual knowledge of the growth, just the superficial artifice of obedience, which is complying with whatever a teacher is dictating to do. So yeah, I just figured, hey, why not talk about a little bit of that since I had to test out this stuff. Hopefully it looks nice and clear. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of these kinds of casts coming up. And so I just figured, hey, why not warm up with a little topic that was on my mind recently? I've been talking to people about. And yeah, eventually I'm going to have some more interesting, more focused, I guess you could say, branding for a certain type of vlog, podcast, interview thing, something I'll be doing, special coming up. But in the meantime, hey, got to start somewhere. So, and get some extra angles here too. Let me see here. Yeah, you can see right there. I got a few extra angles, to work with as I'm doing this. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun with what I have coming up this year. And I'm just glad to be able to more actively speak out on these important topics because man, it is tough out there. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, I see a bunch of people here. Oh, hey, what's up, Brandon, Charles, Christian? Good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good to, you know, see what's going on out in the world and to engage with it. But boy, has it been tough lately. I mean, I'm sure as everybody has been seeing this past year and a half, 2 years, woo, the brainwashing has been intense, right? With the government media collusion to try to get everybody to live in fear, give up everything that they own, essentially, not work, live off government money, aka printing. People are starting to feel the inflation, right? Seeing those prices come up in the store, and are also, of course, seeing a lot of people resist the schooling paradigm on that note, as I was just talking about with teachers. Lots of families finally got to see just how bad things were once their kids came home and they were doing remote learning. I mean, remote indoctrination. They got to see the curriculum. They got to see what teachers were doing and saying, what other kids are doing and saying. And all of a sudden, whew, huge number of families started to do homeschooling and unschooling and the like. And of course, I'm a huge advocate of that. Getting out of these status brainwashing centers is absolutely essential. It literally is one of the worst places you could put your kids is a public school. I mean, it is abuse through and through, both from the administration and, of course, from sadly dysfunctional other kids, right? Because you get everybody who comes there, and there's a lot of kids there with unmet needs. Again, they need help and love from whatever is going on in their home life. But the fact that other kids have to then suffer because the whole schooling paradigm is not focused on helping kids have whole home lives and nonviolent communication. It's focused on using whatever force, threats, violence to get them to obey and comply with the hoop jumping that they have for them. So it's pretty tough. And then, of course, with everything else going on, the stresses on people has, I think, amplified that. The divorce rates going up and addiction rates and things like that. There's been a lot of more tough situations for kids. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking a whole lot more, interviewing people and the like. I'm gonna be getting out there and really just trying to help rectify a lot of the cavity and deficiency that I see in the realm of philosophy. I've been somewhat disappointed, I would say, at many of the people who I do, otherwise admire, not really getting into the thick of philosophy and ethics. And when I'm, talking about these things, I'm talking about the whole gamut of um, the psychologies that really help you become a peaceful person, as someone who really understands the nature of state action, helps you become more competent, self-sufficient, and the like. And I don't want to just stick to abstractions here. I really want to speak to, again, in future episodes and future casts, I want to speak to all these things. I want to speak to peaceful parenting, nonviolent communication, good relationships, having healthy relationships, taking care of things financially and the like in specificity. I think there's not been enough of that, especially in my sphere of things, the liberty sphere. Stefan had done quite a bit of that in the past, and then went a little bit off there with some of his statism, unfortunately. I've been picking up the pieces ever since. But I really have seen just such a dearth of these topics that it got to a point for me where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I got to step out and start, talking to people about these things and how to enact these types of things so that you can have just, again, health, wellness, success, both in your emotional health, mental, family relationships, finances, the whole gamut. I don't want to hold back on anything. I want to be able to talk about all these different topics, and have people be able to become so principled and long term oriented that they are feeling at peace and successful themselves and their own personal goals in life. So I'm going to be taking up that mantle this upcoming year quite a bit, and that includes talking about things like schooling and ethics and philosophy, and all the whole gamut of all types of topics that intersect with the principles of liberty. But beyond that, the to me the principles of philosophy and self knowledge. Knowing yourself, understanding the things that made you who you are in terms of parenting, epigenetics, environmental things, that is, and getting people to really dive deep into that and to overcome the triggers and pains and the cycles of dysfunction that they've been in. And I think Fuzz definitely going to be on board with that too. She's going to be coming in here and there with some of our cast doing that kind of talk. So yeah, I mean it's been a wild ride, and I just got over too. On that note, the latest variant got a hold of me when I was at a certain friend's house, and we traced where it came from. Really funny. So I've never had a shot. I did get over it pretty quick, but then I got, unfortunately, after I recovered from that relatively quick, using a number of supplements, I then got a little cold afterward. So I was like, oh my gosh, so that was a pain in the butt. But now I'm back on the total health, total well being package, and I've been also, to the extent that anybody's asked privately, have given them some tips from the FLCCC and, of course, Dr. McCullough and their associates, the various doctors who have been putting out the latest outpatient protocols and things like that, just sharing little tips and tricks with people of ways that they can just help reduce their symptoms, treat at home, so that, again, you know, why would you want to be sicker for longer than you have to? I mean, even as you've seen out there, even the people who have gotten the shots, we already knew, if you've been on the Liberty side of things, you've already known they were not going to be working. So didn't matter who you were, you're going to have to treat at home and get prepared to, help reduce those symptoms no matter what way you cut it. So, but yeah, just everything and anything. I just want to be able to touch on and talk about all these important issues, uh, basically the full spectrum of principles of liberty, lifestyle, health, wellness, finances, and whatnot. So, and and real quick, I just pulled up because I don't see everybody's comments here. I noticed a bunch of comments were coming through, but I couldn't see it on my StreamYard thing here. But I'm just seeing right now, David, Robert, Trent, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, I just pulled up on another window, be able to see there. So thanks for stopping by and saying hi. And I appreciate that you like the new setup. Yeah, it's much better. It's been a long time coming. We've been holding back, but we're like, okay, it's time to take things to the next level. And what can I say? But actually, this kind of this camera switch thing will allow me to like show off things. This is, I'm not really showing this. It was just my Elgato Stream Deck thing. So I just am demonstrating that I'm going to be able to show things up close. And when we do like fun streams in the future, talking about other topics and stuff, we'll be able to like have up close of different things. You'll see it nice and clearly. So that's going to be great. So, all right. Well, I appreciate y'all for, hanging out and talking with me about these different issues and helping me test out the setup, because I've been tweaking things over the past week. And now it seems like, at least what I'm seeing and the responses so far, it sounds like everything looks good, sounds good, it's clear. So that makes me happy to hear. So, all right, take care, y'all. And yeah, you're gonna see some big things coming out soon. Of course, the big one being the I Did Not Consent music video first. That's gonna come out on Monday. So we're gonna be doing a big music video launch for that. That's gonna be a lot of fun, and I think you're gonna love the artwork that comes with it too. It's going to be hard hitting. So, all right, take care, everybody. See you later. I swear this time I'm actually going.